Have you read a story in the Draoithe Saga and come away with a classic case of immersion after effect? Let me guess, there are questions which remain unanswered even as the magic expanded, adding another layer to the dream. The grand desire to turn the page to discover what happened next ended with the last leaf turned. If you're asking where the remedy for the book hangover is, you know the answer: read another story. But you aren't ready for the next tale, not yet. The dust needs to settle before you pick up the next volume. So you have found your way here. You aren't alone. Even the author can't get enough. As you hear this, Ophelia Key writes on. But allow me to offer you a possibility, a reflection on the tale you recently finished, and a way to revisit the story to ease the story blues. Welcome to the Draoithe Saga After Party. Warning, spoiler alerts ahead. Turn back now if you wish to read the story blind.
Ever find yourself thinking, maybe those old myths and legends have some truth hidden in them?
Yeah, like they're not just stories.
Exactly. So imagine a place called Draoithe. It's a dream realm, apparently, where all that stuff, myths, legends, it's real. It exists right alongside, our normal world. And there's this huge conflict going on, trying to restore the balance of magic against these shadowy evil forces.
That idea of the dream world as the actual battlefield, that's immediately grabbing, isn't it?
It really is.
It makes you think about how reality could be, bent. Blurs those lines between what we think is real and what's imagined. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so let's really dive into this. Today we're looking at parts of Thread. It's the very start of Ophelia Key's Draoithe Saga.
Right.
Think of it as our first look, our foundation for understanding this world, and two key characters, Eli Miller and Luke Mendez, right before their paths actually cross.
So our mission here, for you listening, is to sort of pull out the main pieces of how this whole saga starts. We want to understand the setup of Draoithe, what Eli and Luke are dealing with individually, their personal stuff.
And those little hints of fate, the threads.
Exactly, those subtle connections that seem to be pulling them together already. It's about getting a quick but solid grasp on how this fantasy romance kicks off.
So, Draoithe, a dream world. But what does that actually mean here? Is it just fuzzy?
Well, yeah, it's presented as a dream world, but not like, just random thoughts while you sleep.
Okay.
In this place, myths, legends, even fairy tales.
Yeah.
They're solid. They're real.
Wow.
So the fantastic stuff isn't separate. It's woven into the world, which lets you have this cool mix of the totally normal and the completely extraordinary side by side.
And the Draoithe Saga overall, the big story.
If you zoom out, the whole saga is this epic story of heroism.
Right.
The main goal is fixing the magical balance in this dream world. And the way it's told is interesting, too. It's through these connected stories.
Connected stories? How so?
Often about couples finding their life mates. And through finding each other, these couples actually help build this eventual immortal kingdom.
An immortal kingdom built on finding your soulmate. That's quite a concept.
It is.
So for us, trying to read this potentially massive thing, how is it broken down?
The author actually split it into mini-series.
Yeah.
Which definitely makes it easier to get into.
Okay, good.
So it's not just one giant endless book, but these, linked story arcs.
Makes sense. Now, Thread. Where and when does it drop us into this world?
Okay, so the main time is 2016. They actually call it 016 X in the text sometimes, which is interesting.
Huh.
But we're told there's backstory, flashbacks, past info, stuff the characters find out as they go along.
And the place.
Tyler, Texas, which sounds, familiar, small Texas town.
Right.
But it's described as having this uncanny feeling like magical realism is layered over it. Hints that there's more going on just under the surface.
So not your average East Texas town then, and it sounds like things get bigger than just Tyler.
Oh yeah, definitely. Tyler and this first druid pack are the starting point. But the story's meant to grow.
Oh.
Eventually they interact with other kingdoms, different places. And the big overarching goal seems to be taking down this guy, Peter Elliott, and fixing the magic for good.
Sounds like a really tangled web, Lots of connections. If someone wants to get deeper into this world, are there other things besides the books?
Yeah, the author actually mentions extra stuff like trailers, videos about the research behind it, blog posts,
Cool.
all on YouTube, Ophelia Key's channel apparently. So you can kind of get a multimedia feel for it if you want.
Okay, so Thread is where we start, but it's more like a setup, a prequel.
Exactly. The book description calls it the Kingdom Rising opener. It's laying the groundwork for everything else.
Gotcha.
It sets up this idea that some kind of chaos got loose in the dream world like 1,000 years ago.
1,000 years. Wow. And the threat right now in 2016, what are they up against?
In 2016, the problem is these shadowy evil forces.
Oh.
And they're using madness, literally, to mess with the magic balance. And they're also trying to erase parts of an old prophecy.
Erase prophecy. That sounds bad, like reality-altering bad.
Yeah, it feels really high stakes, like a deliberate attack on the world's very structure.
So how does the dream world fight back against that?
Well, it's trying to heal itself. Like, weaving a new tapestry is the metaphor they use.
Okay.
Using broken bits, replacements. But the trick is finding the right pieces to weave back in.
And I'm guessing our main characters, Luke and Eli, are those key pieces.
You got it. Thread introduces Luke Mendez and Eli Miller, but crucially, before they meet.
Oh, interesting. Why?
It lets us see who they are on their own first. Their histories, where they are now, what's going on inside their heads.
Okay, let's get to know them then. Luke Mendez first. What's his deal when we meet him?
Luke's retired military. He's got a disability, deals with anxiety. And right at the start, he's basically watching his attractive neighbor, Eli, who lives 2 doors down.
Yeah.
But he's kind of stuck, hesitant to actually, say hello.
Sounds like he's got some baggage. What about Eli Miller, her story?
Eli's a high school history teacher. She just moved to Tyler deliberately looking for a fresh start.
From what?
From a really bad past relationship that she fought hard to get out of. So, yeah, both of them are kind of at these crossroads, but totally separate for now.
And Thread just focuses on their lives before they connect.
Yeah, the description says it's the story of a lonely direwolf, that's Luke, and a lone shifter, Eli, before they find each other. It sets up the next book, A Pack Forms.
Okay. Now, before we go deeper into their stories, we should probably mention the warnings for this series, right? It's not exactly light reading.
That's really important, yeah. The author is very clear. This is steamy, urban fantasy, paranormal romance. Fated mates trope is big here.
Steamy, okay.
And yeah, warnings for adult themes, fantasy violence, explicit sexual situations. It's definitely meant for mature readers. Over 18.
Good to know.
So, for you listening, if that's your jam, mature paranormal romance with those elements, this sounds like it could be right up your alley.
Definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, let's dig into Eli Miller. History teacher, but there's more, obviously.
Oh yeah, she was mainly a history teacher until she hit 30.
And then?
That's when she shifted into a tiger for the first time.
Whoa.
Which, as she says, kind of made her life fall apart. So moving to Tyler was about finding a safe place, a new beginning after that massive upheaval.
Shifting into a tiger. Yeah, that would change things. Does destiny play a role in her moving to Tyler? Feels like it might.
Totally. The book mentions these threads of destiny kind of nudging her when she's house hunting there. There's even a prophecy about her finding her life mate in Tyler and starting this huge adventure danger, love, magic, the whole deal.
Wow.
But what's interesting is the immediate tension, right? She fought hard for her independence after a bad relationship.
Right.
And now there's this idea of a fated mate. It makes you, the listener, wonder how much control they really have in this world. Destiny versus free will kind of thing.
So it's not just about finding a new house. It's potentially finding a soulmate and a whole new life. What's she focused on right now, though?
2 main things, it seems. First, just understanding what being a shifter means. This tiger thing is new and disruptive.
Makes sense.
Second, finding this guy she's supposedly destined to be with forever. But the book points out that's not easy for a solitary apex hunter, which is how her tiger side is described.
A solitary predator looking for a lifelong partner. Yeah, I can see the challenge there. Do we get any, sensory details about her? What's she like?
Yeah, there's this really striking one. It says, Eli smells like shade in the summer.
Shade in the summer. Huh. What does that even evoke?
It's cool, right? Like coolness, peace, maybe that inner wildness, but also refuge, comfort. It's very evocative.
It really is. Intriguing. What about, the basics, physical description, stuff like that?
Okay, so Eli Miller, secretly a writer. Fated mate is someone named Duke. No last name given yet.
Duke, okay.
Blonde hair, olive green eyes. She's tall, 5'10", 134 pounds. And here's the key thing. She's 38, but stopped aging at 30.
Ah, when she shifted.
Exactly. She's a tiger shifter and also a dream walker. They call it Clea.
Dream walker, Clea. Okay, another layer. So she can interact with the dream world differently.
Seems like it, yeah. maybe influence it, see things others can't, is not fully explained right away.
Yeah.
And yeah, that hidden writing passion,
She wants to get published.
yeah, it's a private dream of hers.
Yeah.
And it seems tied to her finding her mate. Like, if she joins his dream, maybe she can pursue her own dreams too.
So finding him isn't just romance, it's unlocking her own potential too. What kind of future does it suggest for her if she does find Duke?
Well, finding Duke is just the start, apparently. It could lead to her joining a pack, being part of the kingdom.
Yeah.
A life totally beyond what she can imagine now,
Connection, belonging, a bigger purpose.
pretty much.
Okay, let's switch to Lucas Mendez. Luke, retired military. How did he end up retired?
Luke had this long military career, but it ended after his last mission.
What?
It led to a disabling discharge. He lost men under his command, and he also witnessed another shifter commit suicide.
Oof. Heavy stuff.
Yeah, clearly left huge scars on him.
So what's he doing when we first meet him in Thread? His immediate situation.
He's looking for somewhere quiet, basically, to start over. And that's when he notices Eli, his attractive neighbor, 2 doors down, and he gets this instant, powerful feeling. She was the one.
Just like that. Wow. But it's not smooth sailing, I assume. What's in his way?
Yeah, there's this ongoing threat, the shadowy evil from his military past that follows him home.
Oh, no.
And somehow Eli gets caught up in it, pays a price. So his main goal becomes not just winning her over, but protecting her. Keeping her safe becomes paramount.
So their stories start weaving together through danger even before they properly meet.
Exactly. Unintentionally at first.
What about his own internal stuff? Eli's the solitary apex hunter. What's Luke's conflict as the lonely direwolf?
That's key for him. He is a lone wolf type inherently.
Yeah.
So he's wrestling with the idea of settling down, forming that deep, permanent bond.
Independence versus connection.
Classic conflict, yeah. Especially for someone like him.
Any sensory details for Luke? Eli smells like summer shade.
Luke smells like a sunny, sandy beach.
Huh. Total opposite. Warmth? Openness, maybe? A wish for peace after the military?
Seems like it. A
Yeah.
real contrast to Eli scent, yeah.
What about his vitals? Physical stats? Other key info?
Okay, Luke Mendez. He's a colonel. Future role is apparently president of Draoithe.
President. Okay, big future.
He's Eli's fated mate. Chocolate brown hair, green eyes. Big guy, 6'5", 223 pounds. Also 38 years old.
Same age as Eli.
Right. And he's a direwolf shifter. Also a dream inverter called Kalaha.
Dream inverter, Kalaha. So he messes with dreams differently than Eli.
Yeah, maybe twists or changes them. Again, another cool, magical ability hinted at.
And his personality. What's he like at his core?
He's presented as the quintessential knight in shining armor.
Ah, the protector.
Yeah, a genuinely good guy.
Yeah.
Fits with his military background and that urge to protect Eli.
So finding Eli, his mate, how does that change things for him, his path?
It's huge for him. Totally changes how he sees his own existence. It puts him on this track to lead other immortals.
Against the shadowy evil.
Right, to fight that evil and fix the magical imbalance in the dream world, it gives him this massive new purpose.
Okay, we've got the world, the main players. Now Thread goes into their individual backstories leading up to this point. Let's start with Eli, summer 2013. Why Tyler?
Right, so summer 2013, Eli decides to leave El Paso for East Texas. It's driven by this really strong need for a fresh start. She felt like it was just time,
It's time to move on.
Exactly. Time to move on and move out. Her plan is to find her dream house, somewhere tucked away in the East Texas forests.
And the drive itself feels important.
Yeah, driving to Tyler in her truck, Moonlight, which she loves. It's like the first step on this new path. The truck itself feels like a symbol of her independence.
What does she think of Tyler when she gets there?
She likes it. It feels like the right balance. Big enough for work and city stuff she needs, but small enough to escape into nature easily.
Okay.
She'd visited twice before, so she's pretty hopeful about finding a good place from the realtor's listings.
She seems prepared. What about downtown? Does she check it out?
Yeah, she drives right downtown first thing, loves the old brick streets. The history teacher in her appreciates that mix of old and new, takes pictures, enjoys the vibe. She even has dinner and a little flirtation, but uses a fake name
Why the fake name?
to keep that distance. Reinforced that she's focusing on herself now, after the bad relationship, setting boundaries.
Smart. So after dinner.
Checks into her hotel.
And suddenly it feels really alone for the first time in ages.
It hits her, thinking about how bad things got with her kid's father. The cheating, partying, him never being around, leaving El Paso was escaping all that pain.
And the East Texas nature, that plays a big part.
Oh, definitely. The description of the forest, tall pines, other trees, the light, the smell of leaves. it really speaks to her inner tiger.
Right, her shifter side.
Yeah, that connection feels way more appealing than any romance right then. She's just excited about getting her freedom back in this beautiful place.
So nature calls to her. How does the house hunting actually go?
The next day, she sees a few places in the morning. Nothing clicks. She starts to get a bit discouraged.
Uh-oh.
Until after lunch. The third house, as soon as they pull into the driveway, she just knows this is it. Big brick house looks perfect.
But if it looks perfect,
yeah,
there's got to be a catch, right? Too good to be true.
That's what she thinks. She's worried about the price, wonders if there are hidden problems, big repairs needed.
So what's the story?
The realtor tells her the previous owner, an elderly woman named Winifred, died in the house. Yeah, apparently the neighbor, Miss Ellington, make sure everyone knows that. But it wasn't violent, just a natural death, heart attack. Still, despite that, the house seems to have everything Eli wants.
Does she look inside?
She decides to, despite the hesitation. And she's instantly hooked, especially the kitchen and the master bath.
Priorities.
Right. Realtors say it's been professionally cleaned, comes with a warranty. She's still a bit skeptical, but definitely interested.
The death doesn't scare her off.
Not really. She even jokes about ghosts. Tells them not to mention it to her daughter, though.
Smart move.
She puts in an offer below the asking price, uses the fact it could sit empty for ages as leverage. Pretty savvy.
Nice. What happens while they're negotiating?
While that's going on over the next week, Eli explores Tyler more. Visits a tiger sanctuary fitting.
Very fitting.
Yeah, the zoo, state park, the lake. Just enjoys herself, enjoys being in her tiger form. And by the end of the week, they accept her offer. Significantly lower than appraisal, too.
Success. So this feels like a real turning point for her.
Absolutely. As she drives back to El Paso, she feels like her life is finally heading in the right direction. A month later, she's back signing the closing papers, super excited.
So she owns it.
Yep. It takes a couple more years before she moves in full time. But that summer, 2013, that's the start of the new chapter for Eli.
Okay, now let's jump to Luke. March 2015. What kicks off his move?
Luke's story here starts with his military career ending suddenly, unexpectedly discharged. He's questioning everything like, what now?
Yeah, big change.
He crashes for a night at his sister's place in Chicago, feels totally out of place with his teenage nieces and nephews, because he hasn't aged.
Right. The shifter thing makes normal family life awkward. Why can't he just stay in Chicago?
Because he looks the same age he did years ago.
Yeah.
Direwolf shifter perks, or problems, depending how you look at it.
Right.
His sister probably wants him to stay, he senses it, but she wouldn't push. Plus, he's dealing with his parents being gone and the fact that his sister is aging normally and he's not. It creates this distance.
It's gotta be tough. Isolating. What's his plan then?
He's thinking about using his trust fund money for the first time. Remembers talking with a friend, Rox, about maybe starting a retreat somewhere.
A retreat, like a sanctuary.
Yeah, seems like it. And he starts thinking about Tyler, Texas. Maybe because of the size, the nature nearby.
Why Tyler specifically? Why does that appeal?
Well, the book mentions the population, around 100,000. Seems like big enough for what he needs, but small enough that he can live on the edge of town, get some peace and quiet. Which sounds good after everything he's been through.
He talks to his sister about leaving, right? How does that go?
Yeah, she tries to get him to stay longer, playfully. But he gently pushes back, says her kids are grown up, don't need him around constantly. He jokes about being overprotective about her dating life. But he does agree to stay the weekend so she can help him shop for normal clothes.
Civilian clothes. Bet that feels weird after years in uniform.
Totally. He thinks about how simple uniforms were compared to figuring out a whole wardrobe. But it's more than clothes. Buying a house, settling down, it's a step towards finding his life mate eventually. That longing is there.
His sister tries to set him up.
Yeah, she mentions someone she wants him to meet that afternoon. And his first reaction, joking but maybe revealing, is asking if he needs to kick his ass.
Protective brother mode.
Totally. He also sounds a bit frustrated, like, how come his sister finds people, but he struggles?
And that leads to a surprise about his sister.
It does. She reveals she's been seeing someone seriously for months. He had no idea. Which just highlights again how different their lives are.
Yeah.
Maybe how isolated he feels because of his secret.
Does she know he's a direwolf at this point?
No, not in this part. He's kept it secret. He first shifted at 35, apparently you're shocking, then scary. He only told Rax eventually, who helped him understand he's immortal, has magic.
Wow.
And that direwolves are always male and have to turn their mate. Another complication.
So this huge secret is a barrier with his closest family. What's his longer-term plan?
Buys the house first, then gets the retreat set up. Then he's going to actively look for his life mate.
Okay.
And part of that plan involves slowly pulling away from his sister and her kids to protect the secret. He knows his immortality makes their time together limited anyway. He even wonders briefly if his dad might have been a shifter too, like maybe there's a hidden family history.
That's a lot to carry alone. How does the visit end?
It's bittersweet. He tells her he loves her, but knows this is probably the last time he'll see her like this. He needs to create distance before the differences become too obvious, too unexplainable. They have one last hug, and then he leaves for Tyler.
Okay, fast forward again. Back to Eli, June 2015. She's finally moved into the Tyler house full-time.
Yes, she's exhausted but in. Moved the last boxes. She's loving this space, especially thinking about her tiger form having room. And then she notices this frayed welcome mat. Small detail, but it triggers her need for order, for that clean break from the past. Like no more frayed edges in her life.
The mat is symbolic. How's she feeling about her ex, Javier, now?
She thinks about how hard she worked to buy this house alone. And Javier. He's just a historical footnote. Their relationship was too broken. She's determined to stay single, keep life neat.
She's got a new job starting too, right?
Yeah, she's looking forward to teaching college-level classes at the high school. A change she wanted. And with her kids off at university, the move itself was easier, logistically.
Is she cutting ties completely with El Paso?
Pretty much. Selling stuff off, keeping only the really important sentimental things. Relief, not paying 2 mortgages. Her El Paso house is up for sale. She's ready to close that door.
Emotionally, she seems done with Javier.
Yeah, she accepts he wasn't her mate, even though she loved him once. She sees why it ended, the cheating, lies, partying. She's cried her tears. She's focused on Tyler now.
Is she making plans for the new place? Putting down roots?
Definitely. Looking forward to friends, helping her unpack. Envisioning her tiger self exploring the woods behind the house at night. And she's excited about urban homesteading pool, fruit trees, greenhouse, chickens. The coop's already ordered. She wants to build this nurturing, self-sufficient life.
Sounds like she's really embracing independence.
Totally. She wants love and connection in her life, but she's choosing solitude over settling or compromising her freedom. She's content, maybe still a bit scared of getting hurt again, but happy with her choices right now.
Okay, back to Luke. Same time, June 2015. He's settled in his new place too. What's he noticing?
He's pretty content in his house, even if it's big for just him. He sees Eli moving in 2 doors down with a U-Haul. Notes it, but isn't paying that much attention initially.
What's he focused on instead?
His retreat plans. He's meeting an architectural designer about the land he bought, the one with the lake. Wants to order a log house kit from Missouri once the design's sorted.
Sounds ambitious. How's the design process going?
He's impressed with the designer, Ursula Knowles. Young, deaf, but really determined. Great designs, good price. He's already thinking practically about potential overages, changes he wants like door handles, bigger kitchen. He sends her a deposit.
Okay, so he's busy with his own project. What about his daily life? Any interactions?
Yeah, he has these casual chats with his mail carrier, Jimmy, over a few weeks. Likes Jimmy's laid-back style, unlike other carriers who rubbed his fur wrong.
Direwolf instincts kicking in?
Maybe. He finds out Jimmy's taking a few days off for a wedding, so there'll be a substitute carrier.
And it's during a chat with Jimmy that Eli really catches his eye.
Exactly, not the sub-carrier, but Jimmy himself.
Yeah.
While they're talking, Eli drives past in her white truck, singing off-key. And Luke is just struck by her. Her beauty hits him hard.
Uh-oh.
He watches her drive to her house, acknowledges she's gorgeous, reminds himself she could be married, but yeah.
He sees it differently now.
Totally. This sudden awareness of her blonde, green-eyed grace walking. He wonders how he missed it before. He hasn't been with anyone in almost 2 years, and suddenly, this neighbor sparks something. He admits he'd welcome a connection.
But Jimmy throws some cold water on it.
Well, Jimmy just casually mentioned she has grown kids, so there's probably a big age gap.
Which is funny because Luke doesn't age normally.
Right. It amuses Luke because Jimmy has no idea. Luke stopped aging in his mid-30s. His shifter reality changes that whole perspective on age.
What else does he learn from Jimmy the mailman gossip?
Her name, Elizabeth Miller. High school teacher. Bought the house a couple years ago, used it summers first, now lives there full-time. Jimmy calls her a tough lady, complains about teenagers today. Typical local chat.
And Jimmy points him towards another source.
Yeah, tells him to ask Mrs. Ellington, the neighbor across from Eli. Says she knows everything happening on the street.
Does Luke jump right on that?
Not immediately. He thanks Jimmy, goes inside, still thinking about Elizabeth. But he pushes it down because he needs to deal with his trust fund stuff first.
But she stays on his mind.
Oh, yeah. That night, she's in his dreams. In a scandalous way, the text says.
Whoa.
He wakes up, physically affected, first time since he was basically a kid. Makes him realize, okay, I really need to pay attention to her. And then he gets Van Halen's Hot for Teacher stuck in his head.
That's perfect. And kind of makes him feel alive again.
Exactly. Makes him laugh, a jolt of vitality.
Okay, now these short, fragmented paragraphs about Eli in November 2015, they feel different. What's the vibe?
Yeah, they're very impressionistic, like snapshots of her mood. Seems like she's leaving work, bad weather, frustrated with tech stuff maybe.
Feeling stuck.
Yeah, hints of feeling confined, mention of keys, wanting some kind of release or change. Driving in the rain, feeling weighed down by the past. Old belongings she can't quite let go of.
Sounds kind of melancholy.
Definitely. A specific date, November 17th, feels heavy. Longing for something more than a frozen meal. Looking in the mirror and not quite recognizing yourself. Feeling older.
Ain't she interacting with anyone?
Maybe sensing someone's presence.
Yeah.
There's mention of a child feeling protective. A gate, feeling trapped or watched. Then someone leaving loss or relief. Rain, phone calls feeling distant. A dream making reality feel fuzzy. It ends with just this raw desire for change. Escape.
It's very internal. A bit bleak, maybe. So, same time, November 2015, what's Luke up to? Still watching.
Oh, yes. He's settled into a routine of observing her. Knows her schedule, leaving for work, coming home. Sees her going out Saturdays with her daughter when she visits, coming back happy with shopping bags.
His interest is growing.
Definitely. He feels this need to know more, feels she's close. Knowing she owns the house and lives nearby makes him feel secure. Like she won't just disappear. He sees her coming home from the gym, guesses her routine correctly.
Does he feel weird about watching her?
Yeah, he knows she should feel his intense stare, but she never seems to notice. He questions if it's wrong, but he can't stop. Seeing her add the chicken coop and greenhouse over the summer just made him more interested.
So he's kind of stuck in observer mode?
Totally. He's struggling with how to approach her without being the creepy stalker, but feels compelled to watch. It's become this huge part of his thoughts, like a constant reminder. Each glimpse, desire, loneliness. Seeing her by the pool, in the woods, fuels his own need for connection, specifically with her.
He feels like she's trapping him somehow.
Yeah, like she's wrapping him up like a mummy, but he keeps watching. Maybe wanting to just exist with her, outside of normal time, turning her into this living fantasy.
Is he making excuses for this?
Kind of. Blames his ankle injury, needing the cane, his therapist not clearing him for work yet. He knows she's beautiful, knows being near her makes him feel alive in this scary, intense way. He wonders if she's the one, terrified of losing that feeling if she isn't.
And this leads him to finally talk to Mrs. Ellington.
Yes. Sees her raking leaves before Thanksgiving. Perfect excuse. Offers to help, mentioning his boredom, waiting on military paperwork for a job. She resists at first, but he persists, and she lets him help.
And Miss Ellington lives up to her reputation? Talkative?
Oh yeah. Just like Jimmy said, she's the neighborhood watch. Luke uses the raking as a chance to just listen, pick up info, especially about Eli. Miss Ellington talks about old neighbors, the lady who died in Luke's house, and confirms that Eli knew about it but didn't tell her kids.
What's Miss Ellington's take on Eli?
Calls her a tough lady. Points out she's a teacher, has the chickens, greenhouse, lives frugally. Mentions she lives alone, always waves, brings over treats sometimes. Never seen a man there except her son. They even talk about Eli's cooking, share recipes.
Does Miss Ellington know Eli from before?
Turns out, yes. They knew each other when Mrs. Ellington worked as a nurse at the hospital before retiring. Small world.
Does Mrs. Ellington notice Luke's interest in Eli?
Seems like it. After more stories, she circles back to Eli, suggests Luke should get to know her. Points out they're both single, maybe he could protect her.
Playing matchmaker.
Totally. Luke laughs it off, but kind of agrees he'll introduce himself if the chance comes up.
So what happens after the raking and chatting?
He finishes up while Ms. Ellington talks about Jimmy the mailman. Luke realizes he knows way more about his neighbors now than he ever planned. Acknowledges his attraction to Eli is strong, thinks about her a lot, pushes away, worries about his shrine, his watching Eli, telling himself he's medically cleared, not crazy, thanks Ms. Ellington, goes to shower.
Does helping her change anything for him?
Yeah. He realizes it gave him something to do, but mostly just fueled the fire for Eli. Plans some sparring, gym time partly to look normal, since he doesn't age. But as he showers, thoughts go right back to Elizabeth Miller. Fantasies. Admits he's struggling with is self-gratification because of her. He desperately wants to meet her, stop the fantasies, but also worries they're getting crazy fired up.
Okay, back to Eli. Early January 2016. Holidays are over.
Yeah, kids have left. She sighs, finds it hard getting back into a routine, has this quick fantasy strongman, sweeps her off her feet, irresistible desire. But immediately thinks even if he showed up, she'd probably push him away. That self-protection thing is strong.
Are her fantasies changing?
She notes they've been darker lately, maybe her libido waking up. Acknowledges she needs release, but the tiger secret makes casual stuff impossible. Admits male attention is nice sometimes, but she turns back to her novel, her imaginary boyfriend, before school starts again.
The book is her outlet. What else is happening? Practical stuff.
Arranges a sub so she can drive back to El Paso, finalize the house sale there. Another step in closing that chapter. Comes back, microwaves a frozen meal, thinks about a bath. House is quiet after the kids.
How's she feeling about her life overall starting the new year?
Eating lunch alone, she appreciates the quiet, her freedom. Feels sure she has everything she wants. Unwilling to trade it for a relationship, especially with the risk of getting hurt again. Not looking for temporary flings, not that kind of woman. Reflects that even with Javier, she was honest. Except to shift her secret.
Is she completely closed off to relationships, though?
She feels like even intense physical intimacy isn't right now. Still relying on book boyfriends. But she admits she's less opposed to the idea of a relationship than when she first bought the house. A small shift, maybe opening up a crack.
Interesting. Okay, last section. Luke, January 5th, 2016. Coming from therapy.
Yeah, leaves the therapist's office with a signed release. Healthy, cleared for work. And he realizes that last barrier he felt, that fear of being seen as mentally less than before approaching Elizabeth, it's gone.
So he feels ready now. He thinks about his path of stillness. What's that?
It's this mental state he uses. Emotionless, silent, still, like death almost. Helped him in the military, helped him when he had to kill. He believes sticking to this path helps him control things, get what he wants. It's a core part of how he operates, tied to his direwolf nature too, though that's secret.
He deliberately avoided Eli over the holidays. Why?
Yeah, didn't want to meet her with her kids around. Wanted the first meeting to be on his terms, no distractions. He's determined not to lose her now, just waiting for the perfect moment to reveal his interest, which he knows is basically stalking.
He's pretty consumed by her.
Completely. Thinks of her as his hotter-than-sin teacher, neighbor. Then she disappears for days after leaving her driveway. He starts freaking out. Did he wait too long? Did she meet someone else?
Anxiety kicks in.
Big time.
Wow.
Thoughts spinning like tangled thread. But he resolves, if she comes back, he will claim her. Then kind of tells his inner dire wolf off for claiming a woman he hasn't even met yet.
Internal conflict. Does she come back?
Yes. Late Saturday night, he's on his porch, drinking brandy. Her truck pulls in. Huge relief. And more. He feels another thread connecting them. Compares it to ancient Egyptians, weirdly. He hopes maybe she is the answer, the cure for his tattered life. The thread, maybe leading to something new, something that makes forever seem bearable.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive into thread really sets the stage for the Draoithe Saga. What are the big takeaways for you, for the listener?
Well, these excerpts really ground us in the world, Draoithe, and introduce Eli and Luke really effectively before they meet. We see Eli finding her feet, dealing with being a shifter, wanting independence.
Right.
And Luke, the retired soldier with this huge secret, his dire wolf nature, getting totally fixated on his neighbor.
And those threads from the title are definitely there, pulling them together even when they're apart.
Absolutely. You feel that pull. Luke's intense focus, Eli's sort of cautious openness. It hints at destiny, even with all their personal baggage and secrets.
So if you're into paranormal romance, urban fantasy, fated mates, plus personal growth and mystery, Thread sounds like a really strong starting point for the Draoithe Saga.
Yeah, the complexity of their lives, the hints of this bigger magical world, definitely gives you reasons to keep reading.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe, for you listening. Think about the challenges they both face, right? Eli's hard-won independence versus this pull towards a fated mate she doesn't even know. Luke's immortal, isolated nature versus wanting this deep, maybe even mortal connection.
What kind of picture, what kind of tapestry are they going to weave together? And what other weird patterns might show up in this dream world of Draoithe as things unfold?
Definitely leaves you wanting to know what happens next.
Thank you for your support. For more, visit opheliakey.com. Welcome to the dream. Sincerely. Okay.